Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2, Unit 1, Final Exam Review. Remember, this is no calculator, okay? You must show all of your work and write your final answers on the lines provided, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. What fraction of the figure is shaded? Write your answer in lowest terms, okay? So remember, when we're talking about a fraction, it is the part over the whole, okay? So let's figure out what part is shaded. So you got to count all of the shaded. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 is the part. And now we have to go back. Oops. It's been a while since Mr. Grice has used this. Okay, so that was 9. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 9 over 18. Now, is that in lowest terms? I don't think so. Okay, you can divide both the top and bottom by 9, and what you're left is 1/2. All right, prime factorization. Okay, remember, that's also known as a factor tree. So go ahead and break that down. One thing that you can always do whenever it ends in 0, you can say that it's 10, and then what you're left with, okay? So now breaking down 10 is 2 times 5. We can do that again. We can break it down by 8 times, oh, hold on a second. Sorry for the technical delays, but it breaks down to 8 times 10. When we break down 8, that's 4 times 2. And then 2 times 2. Remember, we go all the way down till we have prime numbers, and then 10 is 2 times 5. All right, and when we write our final answer, they always go in lowest to highest. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 5 2s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So we've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2s and 2 5s. All right. Dividing fractions. Okay. Whenever we see division, we want to flip. Okay. The first fraction stays the same. 16 over 25, we're flipping it and it changes to multiplication. The 15 goes on top and the 4 goes on the bottom. Okay, we need to look at our corners to see if we can cross reduce. The 16 and the 4, we can divide both of those by 4. So we get 4 and 1. And the 25 and the 15, we can divide both of those by 5. Okay, so what we're left with is 4 over 5 times 5 over 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply that. Oh, 15 divided. Come on, Mr. Grice. I'm sorry, guys. You know, after all break, you think that my head would actually work, but I guess it doesn't. So it shouldn't be a 5. It should be a 3. Okay. So multiply straight across. 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 1 is 5. And we can't reduce that, so our final answer is 12 over 5. All right, number 4. If I see this on anyone's paper, I'm going to cry, okay? You can't just subtract straight across because we have to make sure that the denominators are the same. So we need the lowest common denominator. And the way that we said to do that is you can go ahead and you can just start listing all the factors. So like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and we're just counting by 5s, okay? Now some of you might know this right off the back what it is, some of you don't. It's okay. But as soon as I find a number that they both have in common, that's what it is. And now it just doesn't magically change to 35 and 35, and this is a 3 and a 4, okay? We can't do that. We have to change the fractions, okay? So 3 over 7 is going to be something over 35, and 4 over 5 is going to be over 35. Now, the magic number, 7 times 5. So what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. Okay, so that changes to a 15. Now our other one, we're multiplying it by 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, and now we can subtract. Okay, we know that our denominator is going to be 35. 15 minus 28, well, remember we can add the opposite because I know it's going to be a negative number. And if you have trouble subtracting it like that, do 28 minus 15, okay? And you're going to get 13. So we get negative 13 over 35. You always want to check to see if you can reduce. And in this case, we can't. All right, simplify. Remember, when we're doing problems like this, we're following PEMDAS. Okay, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. From left to right, we start inside. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, we stick with the multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4. And remember, we're still multiplying here. Multiplication comes before subtraction. 2 times 4 is 8, and 15 minus 8 is 7. All right, number 6, simplify. Negative 12.4 minus negative 13.8. Just remember right here, when you have two negatives, when you are adding the opposite, you're really adding right there, okay? So I take a look to see what do we have more of? Do we have more positives or more negatives? We have more positives, okay? They're different signs, so we're going to subtract. I'm going to put the bigger number on top, minus 12.4. My decimals are lined up. 8 minus 4 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. And we're left with 1.4. Okay, simplify. Remember, absolute values, these are like brick walls. We can't do anything with them until we do what's inside first. And thankfully, they have the same denominator. Okay, so 1/3 minus 2/3, well, that's negative 1/3. Okay, absolute value is the distance a number is from 0, and distance is always positive. So this number stays the same. It's 1/3. However, this negative sign, I want the opposite of that, which means it's a negative 1/3. Because the opposite of a positive 1/3 is a negative 1/3. All right, now we're getting into exponents, okay? Remember, the exponent tells us how many of the base we have. So that's really saying -2 times -2 times -2, but we don't want to write all that out, okay? So -2 to the 3rd power, well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, but since we have 3 negatives, it's -8. All right, that subtraction sign stays there. And now we're dealing with 4 squared, -4 squared, which is -4 times -4, which is a positive 16. And -8 minus 16, if we need to do the click, adding the opposite, we're adding 2 negatives. Okay, when we're adding 2 negatives, it stays negative, and we add the numbers, so we get -24. All right, number 9 tells us to evaluate. So every time I see an M, I get to plug in. And then every time we see an N, we have to plug in. Okay? So I'm just going to plug in parentheses so we don't lose any signs. We got -3 for the M, and the n is a -2. All right, so doing the top first, 2 times -3 is -6. -3 times -2 is +6. And on the bottom, we just have -3 plus -2, which is -5. Okay, simplify the top. -6 plus 6 is 0, and 0 divided by -5 is 0. All right, number 10. Find the complement and the supplement of an angle that measures 43 degrees. Remember that a complement adds up to 90 and the supplement adds up to 180. So to find those missing measurements, all we have to do is subtract. So when we're subtracting, I can't take 3 from 0, so the 9 turns into an 8, and the 0 turns into a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7, and then 8 minus 4 is 4. So our complement is 47, and don't forget that we're talking about degrees here. All right, we're doing the same thing with supplement. Why don't you guys go ahead and do that? Hopefully you're borrowing, and you should get 137 degrees. Okay. Given that the measure of angle D is 57 degrees, find the measures of the other angles. There we go. Now, right away, you should know what B is because those are vertical angles. Okay, vertical angles are congruent, so 57 degrees. Now, A and C is what we need to find. And remember that right here, that makes a straight line, which means those two angles add up to 180 degrees. Well, if they add up to 180 degrees, I can subtract the 57 and figure out what it is. Okay, we have to borrow. 10 minus 7 is 3, 7 minus 5 is 2, and we're left with the 1. So those other angles are 123 degrees. All right. Find the exact circumference and the area of a circular fountain whose radius measures 15 feet. All right, now here's the thing. We need to know the two formulas. Now, if you remember, twinkle, twinkle, little star, circumference equals 2 pi r. Okay, so that means that the area is pi r squared. Okay, and 15 is the only number we need to worry about. Okay, so circumference equals 2 times pi times 15. Well, the only two things that we can multiply are the 2 and the 15. 2 times 15 is 30, so we're left with 30 pi. Okay, so our circumference is 30 pi, and remember that we're talking about feet. All right, for area, area equals the pi times our radius squared. Okay, the square only applies to the 15. So 15 squared, or 15 times 15, is 225 pi. Okay, so when we write our answer, 225 pi, we have to remember our units, and since we squared it, it's feet squared. All right, guys, just a couple more. All right, number 13, find the area and the perimeter of the figure. Include the correct units. Okay, so area is what's inside, and perimeter is the outside. I like to find the perimeter first, but there are two sides that we don't know. Okay? So when we're trying to find the missing side right here, okay, these are what we know. We know that one thing is 4, but that whole part is 10. So what's this missing piece? 4 plus what? It's 10. Hopefully you're all shouting at me. Mr. Grice, it's 6. We get it. Cool. Good job. All right, so we found the green, but now we got to do the same thing for the blue. Okay? And this is our big part right here. The whole thing equals 9, and I want to find this missing piece. Well, 5 plus what gives us 9? 4. Okay? And that's how we find our missing pieces. So you can do this in any order you want to. I've already got the perimeter set up. So we have 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 5 plus 10 plus 9. Okay? So I'm going to break it up to those these 3 portions real quick. 4 plus 4 is 8, 6 plus 5 is 11, and 10 plus 9 is 19. Okay? 8 plus 11 is 19, and 19 plus 19 is 38. So our perimeter is 38, and it's going to be 38 meters. Okay, when you're doing the perimeter, you have to make sure you add up every single side. Now, for area, there is no exact formula, so I would break it up into 2 shapes. You can break it up by drawing a vertical line or a horizontal line, whatever floats your boat. Okay, so I've already got the horizontal line set, so we've got the blue box and the gray box. Now, when we're looking at the blue box, we have to figure out 2 numbers. Is it 4 and 9? No, because our box is not that long, okay? The numbers we're using are 4 and 4. So area equals the blue box, which is 4 times 4, which is 16, plus the gray box. And using the gray box, our numbers, oops, didn't have that highlighted, are 5, is it 5 and 6? No, because 6 is only that little piece, okay? I want the whole part, and the whole part right here, it's the 10, okay? So it's 5 times 10. 5 times 10 is 50. And then when we add those 2 numbers up, we get 66. Okay? So let's just redo that. 4 times 4 is 16. And 5 times 10 is 50. So when we add those 2 up, we get 66. So our area is 66 meters, and that's meters squared. Okay, number 14. Simplify. How do you want to simplify this? What do we do? I forgot. You distribute. Okay, so we have to distribute both of these into the parentheses. Okay, so off to the side, you're doing negative 1/3 times 18 over 1. And remember, you can just multiply straight across. You got negative 18 over 3, which is negative 6. Okay, so I'm going to do my work right here. So we got negative 6 minus, well, let's see, is that going to be a minus? Because remember, we've got to do that negative 1/3 times negative 6 over 1. So negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. 3 times 1 is 3, and that reduces to 2. And it's a positive 2, and it's a positive 2x. Now, distributing in the blue, it's a positive 5. 5 times 2 is 10, and that's 10x. And 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Let's combine our like terms. 2 plus 10 is 12x. And then we have negative 6 and negative 5 combined together is negative 11. So we have 12x minus 11. Okay. Last one, number 15, says to translate. It says the difference of 4 and the product of 5 and a number. So let's look at some keywords right here. Okay. Difference and product. Difference is subtraction, product is multiplication. So the difference of 4, so it's not 4 minus 4, it's 4 minus. Okay, that 4 comes first, and then we're subtracting, and what we're subtracting is we're subtracting 5 and a number. The product means that we're multiplying those two. So we have 4 minus 5x. Okay? Alright guys, well hopefully that jogged your memories back into school mode, because your final is going to be in a couple of days. This is it for Algebra 2, Unit 1 review. If you have any questions, come find Ms. Carranza or myself, because we would love to help you out. Thanks for watching.